First of all, thank you for accepting this, and we're just so happy that we can, edit this and make this as part of our vlog. So I'm JR. I have a small plant business here in the Philippines. While we are on an enhanced community quarantine, we're doing vlogs for our plant parents, and they seem to enjoy it. So we're kind of adding more content to the different vlogs that we have.
Yeah, cool. I think it's such a good idea, especially with everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, and yeah, it seemed to be very therapeutic for a lot of those that has plants in their homes, that they're
Mhm.
able to really take care of their plants on a longer period of time. So yeah, maybe you can go ahead and have a short introduction about yourself, what you do, where you're located, and how is everything there.
Yeah, perfect. So my name's Tom. I'm 25 years old. I work as a social media manager Monday to Friday for a music company. So the company that I work for, we run music festivals, we run a venue, we manage artists, and we run just a lot of music-based events. So I do that Monday to Friday. Obviously, because there's a ban on all large gatherings in Australia, work is on hiatus at the moment for me, which means that I can focus a lot more attention on my plants. Um, Things in Australia are pretty bad as they are elsewhere all around the world, but I don't think that we are suffering as much as some other places in the world, which I'm very grateful for. So we do have some lockdown laws in place, but we're not on a complete lockdown, which is good. So we're still able to go out for essential things, which is nice. But yeah, we have a ban at the moment. The state that I live in, Adelaide in South Australia, there's a ban on gatherings of more than 10 people. And you're pretty much only allowed to just go out and do essential things, which is good. And they're just telling us to practice social distancing. The state that I live in, we haven't had any recent reportings of COVID in the past couple of days, which is good. So it looks like it is starting to decrease. But yeah, it's been a bit of an adjustment being home all the time, but it means that I just get to spend more time with my plants and try not
Yeah.
to overwater them, trying my best not to over take care of them.
Not to overwater them.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did your plant parent journey started?
My plant parent journey started probably about a few years ago. My mum gave me a syngonium, which unfortunately is now no longer with us, rest in peace. But it really started my plant addiction. A lot of people in my family are really into plants. So my mum used to be a florist, my auntie used to be a florist. I've got an uncle who's a garden landscaper. My grandparents have used to own a property and they've always been really into native Australian plants. So having a green thumb has sort of run in our family for a little while. So once I started getting into plants, it was almost sort of like this little addiction, but it just felt kind of right for me because I'd always sort of grown up in that world. And then once I had that first syngonium that didn't survive, I came straight back for more, and I added another plant which was a heartleaf philodendron, and then that is still with me, fortunately. And then I just started slowly adding more and more plants until I'm in the world that I live in now with all of these plants around my house.
Nice. So, and now how many plants do you have at home?
Oh, that's a
You
good
count
question.
it?
I think I have about 70 to 80 plants at the moment, but I'm not sure. I never know whether you include things that are growing in water, cuttings and stuff, because in my mind, as soon as I take a cutting from a plant, I think, oh, that's an extra plant that I've got now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's in the 70s to 80s. I'm not too sure because now I've got a whole bunch of outdoor plants as well. So if we're including those, then it's probably more.
Mm. So, and I saw at your back there's a monstera, and what's the other one?
This one here.
Yeah.
This one's an alocasia, so just the elephant ear plant. I'm not sure the exact species of alocasia, but I've got a couple of alocasias floating around. It's one of my favorite plants. So I think I have 4 alocasias in the house at the moment, but this is my biggest one. I got this one. I don't know if you can see on the camera there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I got this one a few years ago at this little bargain plant store, and it had no price on it, no name on it. And I was just kind of looking at it, and the guy that ran the store said, "If you take that home with you today, I'll give it to you for $25." So I bought it, and now it's one of my biggest plants that I've got. So it was a real good bargain for me.
Nice. How's the community of plant parents in Australia? Are they, kind of, there are a lot already of plant parents in, especially in Adelaide, or
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
private?
There's a pretty big plant enthusiast community in Australia, and especially thanks to social media, it's really easy for us to all connect with each other. So there are a few friends that I've made in the plant community, which is really great. Adelaide as well, there is a lot of plant enthusiasts. I teach a plant care class once a month in Adelaide. Obviously, that's been put on hold
Wow.
with coronavirus, but it's really, really great to see a lot of people come out and just kind of share their love for plants. Yeah,
Mm.
it's really nice to see. I think that's the best thing about being into plants is that it really creates this sort of community vibe, and people always love to trade cuttings and trade plants and just trade
Yeah.
knowledge. Well, yeah, it's really nice to see.
And then you mentioned you teach plant parenting as well. How does it go? Is that done online, or is that done also face to face?
It's done face to face, so obviously the at the moment those are put on hold because of everything that's happening at the moment. But basically, what I do is just gather small groups of people in a small studio space with events company. It's done in conjunction with an events company in Adelaide. And basically, we sit down with a group of people and we just go over really, really basic indoor plant parenting tips and little tricks that you can do, because I think sometimes it can be a little bit daunting for people when they first want to get into plants, but they might not be quite sure how exactly to take care of plants. So we just go over some basic tips, how to repot a plant, things to look
Yeah,
out for, how to keep them healthy, and it's really good. I really love it.
yeah. And it's really helping, new plant parents to be able to take care of their plants as well.
Yeah.
I've been following you for quite some time as well, and I think what interests me is your maiden hair fern story. So so how's the maiden hair now?
The maidenhair is still alive. It lives in my bathroom now. So I think I class the maidenhair as my crowning achievement because I know that they are very hard to keep alive. But
Yeah.
basically, yeah, I read online a really, really long time ago that you are supposed to water a maidenhair plant with black tea. And I know it sounds crazy and I know it sounds ridiculous, but I started doing it and my maidenhair is still alive. So I'm just going to put it down to that one little tip. I always make sure I water it probably 2 or 3 times a week, because out of all of my plants that I have, I know a lot of plants are really susceptible to root rot and you're not supposed to overwater them, but I've never been at a point with my maidenhair fern where I felt like I was watering it too much. Usually out in the wild, in nature, they would be growing along riverbanks or really swampy, marshy areas. So they're the type of plant that is used to living in a really, really moist environment. So you have to try to replicate that as much as you can in your home. So I never let it dry out. It doesn't ever have a day where the soil gets dry, even if it's just a tiny little top up. And it's,
Mm.
yeah, it's still alive, it's still healthy, and I've had it for over a year.
Yeah, I've also tried growing the maidenhair, but I wasn't successful. But
Yeah.
I'm trying one again, so I'm just waiting for my order of a maidenhair fern.
Yeah.
It's only like tomorrow, so I'll try
Amazing.
I'll try my bet again.
Yeah, keep you posted.
So how do you arrange your plants inside the house? How does that happen?
Basically, I try. So I live in a shared living environment. I have 2 housemates, so I try to be conscious of the other people that I'm living with and not completely overload the house with plants. But a lot of the way that I display my plants is based on the light source in my home. So it would be nice to have a plant in every single room of the house, but a lot of the rooms in my house don't get amazing natural light. So I'm sitting in my bedroom at the moment, which has a big west-facing window just opposite the camera here.
All right.
So the bulk of my plants live in my, well, not the bulk, maybe some of my plants live in my bedroom because I get a really big light source in here. I have a big cluster in the lounge room because they sit next to a north-facing window. But yeah, I basically just base it around what light they can get or what their needs are. So most of my ferns live in my bathroom because my bathroom gets more humid when I shower. And yeah, light, humidity. I think it's really important to kind of, when you're introducing a new plant into your home, to kind of look at it and think, what exactly does it need? What's the best place in my house to provide like those factors for its environment? Yeah.
So it's really lighting condition, the humidity, and the position also where you need to put the plant.
Yeah, and also just where it looks nice as well. Styling's really
yeah. That's very important.
Yeah, most aesthetically pleasing. You get a better photo.
Yeah. Yeah, because what I observe also, a lot of plant parents, they prioritize the aesthetic part versus what needs to be grouped together as plants in terms of what are the needs of the plant. So I think that's a nice advice you have, that aesthetic is important as well, but it comes a bit along in terms of the list, or later towards the list.
Exactly, you have to put it low on the priority list, and it's just a bonus if it's a really great spot for the plant and it looks nice. But sometimes I'll get somebody that might send me a photo of a plant in their bathroom and they say, what's wrong with my plant? It's not surviving. And they'll send me a photo of a plant of a room that has no windows, so it's not getting any light. But it looks really nice on the kitchen countertop. But I always say it's a living thing. You need to provide it what it needs to stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you take care of them? Like, do you also put them outside on certain days while they're?
I run on because I have when I am working. Obviously, normally things are a little bit different at the moment. But when I'm not working, I have a really busy work schedule. So I have a lot of plants. So I try to minimize the amount of work that I'm doing on my plants, because it would become too big of a job for me, I think, if I didn't have some sort of structure. So what I do usually, I have my plant day is on a Saturday morning. So I go around, check everything. I use a moisture meter to check if anything needs watering or if it's fine, and to last until the next time I check in on them. I move most things. I don't move everything outside every single week because, again, it would be such a big job. But Saturday morning I check in on everything, do all my watering, clean them down, especially with plants like the alocasia, because they have such a big surface area on their leaves. They collect dust so quickly, so I'll go around and I'll wipe down the leaves, and I do move things outside from time to time just to keep them a hose down, because again, when you've got house plants, it's so easy for them to accumulate pests as well. So cleanliness is something that I really try to focus on. So for that reason, I do move them outside occasionally, but yeah, not always. So then watering days on a Saturday, and then I have a halfway point on a Wednesday. I'll go around and check things like my maidenhair, which I know needs to be watered more frequently than once per week. Yeah, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and that's how I structure it, and that's how it doesn't seem like such a big job as well.
It's good also to hear that you allot a plant day. That's also very important, especially when you are really working and you have to have responsibilities at your work, and at the same time you want to take care also of your plans.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that would be a very good advice for a lot of those that are really plant enthusiasts. The next question is along that line. Maybe you can give some tips for new plant parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So my biggest tip I'd say for a new plant parent is, please don't be deterred by failure. If you get a new plant and it eventually doesn't work out for you and you have a few casualties along the way, please don't give up, because you're always going to learn something new from making mistakes. And it is really sad when you get a plant and you're really excited about it and it starts to suffer for whatever reason and potentially might not survive under your hands. You're always going to learn something from that. So if you know that you did something wrong, try again. You have to break a few eggs to make an omelette, is something that I always tell people. So just keep coming back, keep trying, because it will get better and you'll start getting the hang of it, and then eventually it will become second nature to you. Another thing that I would say is to always do your research on a plant. So if you pick up a plant that you're not familiar with, just Google it. Give it a Google, see what it needs, see what it likes, because it might prefer a very specific type of environment, and it's really easy to replicate that in your home. But sometimes it's not a one size fits all for every single plant. So it's important to know what exactly it needs. And the last thing I would say is start easy. Just start with the simple stuff. If you're just getting into the plant family, sometimes you see people that are really, really excited about getting into plants, and they'll buy something that is really, really high maintenance, that is quite hard, quite difficult to look after. And then when it does eventually start to suffer, I think it can be a really big deterrent for people, because they might apply the fact that all plants are really hard to look after, when in reality they've just got like a real diva of a plant for their first plant. So start with your succulents, pothos, stuff that's really, really easy to look after, and then that's how you learn along the way.
So those are your recommended plans. Both those would be the best ones for beginners.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else?
Golden pothos is really, really, I think, one of the best plants to start on, because it's such a fast grower in the right environment, and you can propagate from it really easily. I say a ZZ plant, Zanzibar gem, is a really, really good plant to start off with as well, because they're they're a really, really resilient plant. They can live in low light conditions, and they, especially if you're someone that's still trying to get the hang of a watering schedule, they can survive longer without regular watering, and they actually prefer to not be watered constantly as well. So if you're someone that forgets to water their plants, a ZZ plant is probably something that you should start off with. What else? I think Syngonium is a really good one as well. Syngonium,
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're quite easy care as well, I think. And vining plants like a Philodendron cordatum, a Syngonium, or a golden pothos, because they're fast growers, so you can see the fruits of your labor quite quickly, but they're also quite low maintenance.
Yeah, those are really nice and very easy to take care of plants. And I really hope that, because there's a bit of an gardeners, kind of give you these kinds of plants, they don't need light and all of this advice so that you will buy the plant, but these are expensive plants. And I like those plant parents who can actually advise on what plants to start with, the easy plant one. So that's a nice advice.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I always think it's funny when you see people say that they'll thrive in low light or no light, because no plant can survive without light. Like there are plants that are tolerant of low light conditions, like the ZZ plant, but the more light you can give a plant, the better it's going to do. So I think it's really funny when you see people sort of advertise a plant and they say, oh, it will thrive in low light conditions, because that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we also advise our plant parents as well. But with the kind of small business that we have, more really is what we wanted to do is really to advise plant parents on how their plants can really thrive, because they get a lot of wrong advices for those that are really endorsing plants. So I hope that also change in a sense if you're trying to build a community of plant parents. That's why we're doing this as well.
Yeah.
In your checklist of some of the dream plants that you have, or some of the plants that you still want to add to your collection, what are those plants and why those plants?
I love any type of alocasia, so I'm really hoping to start building my alocasia family. I'd love to get a alocasia stingray, and the black velvet alocasias as well. I think they're really nice. The alocasia friedeck. There's Zebrina as well. So in my ideal world, I would just have every single type of alocasia that exists. I also really want to get a tractor seed plant again, purely because I had one when I was first starting out with plants, and it died almost immediately because it was sort of Um, I didn't really understand what its needs were, but it's on my checklist again, even though I have already had it, because I'm ready for round two. I'm ready to get back on the horse.
Um, Maybe some messages for plant parents around the world, or those that are subscribers.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for even following me or supporting me. I think it's so crazy that there are people all around the world in every single country that can connect to people on the complete other side of the world over something like plant parenting, which I just think it's such an amazing thing that we can all bond over this hobby. And especially in times like this as well, the crisis that the entire world is going through. Um, Plant parenting is such an amazing outlet for myself. I find it so relaxing and calming, and it's my therapy basically. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll just spend a couple of hours tending to my plants, and it genuinely really makes me happy. And I know that there's so many people out in the world that share that exact same feeling as me. So I just want to say thank you for that. Like thank you for sharing that with me, and I can't wait to continue to do this for so many more years to come.
Yeah, and I hope you're also, once you're here in the Philippines, if that goes back to everything goes back to normal. There's really a huge plant community in the Philippines that are, I can see that it's also a bit starting. But yeah, there is now a growing community here in the Philippines. So you're welcome to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm allowed to fly again, I'm definitely going to be traveling because it's almost as though now I can't travel. All I want to do is travel. So the Philippines is definitely on my checklist, and we should definitely all have a very big plant meetup, catch up, and I can come look at all of the allocations that you've got over there.
So I think that's it. Unless you have other things to share also to our plant parents.
Not that I can think of, not off the top of my head, but if anybody does have any questions, I love to answer people's plant questions. Don't ever feel like, you're bothering me or anything. This is exactly why I started this page. So please hit me up with any of your plant questions because my number one favorite thing to talk about in the world is plants.
Yeah, and a lot of those that I've asked also are questions coming from really new plant parents, especially that there has been an increased number of plant parents when this pandemic started. So because a lot is really trying hard to cope and at the same time enjoy the moment, taking care of their plants and growing their plant numbers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's all, Thomas. Thank you very much. It's recorded, so we're kind of edit this and we'll put it up in our vlog.
Sure.
And also some of the snippets will be put in our Instagram page.
Perfect. No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.